Okay, so today we're really diving deep. We're looking at cost and management accountants, CMAs,
Okay.
and specifically how their roles are changing in the age of Industry 4.0. All this, digital technology that's transforming the way that businesses operate, especially in manufacturing and other industries like that. And we've got some really fascinating research and articles, really eye-opening stuff about, how CMAs are adapting. And really what we want to do is help you understand how this traditional role of a CMA is changing and what new skills are needed
Mm.
because of things like AI, the Internet of Things, all that.
Right. Yeah.
So historically, CMAs have been the people who kept the books,
Right.
the custodians of financial accuracy.
Yes. Looking back at what happened.
Exactly. But now with so much data and such complex data, it seems like they're becoming more strategic advisors,
Ugh.
helping companies shape their futures.
Absolutely. I mean, the volume and the complexity of data that's coming out of these connected systems, it's unprecedented. And that's really changing the game for CMAs. It's not just about reporting on what happened in the past anymore. It's about using this data to provide real-time insights that can help businesses make better decisions right now.
Okay, so let's start with that then. Let's talk about real-time data. How is that like fundamentally changing things for CMAs?
Well, imagine you've got sensors on every piece of equipment in a factory. And those sensors are constantly reporting on things like production output, material usage, energy consumption, all that stuff.
Okay, so that's where the Internet of Things comes in, right?
Exactly, yeah. That's the Internet of Things in action.
Okay.
And instead of waiting for like monthly reports, CMAs are now getting this constant stream of information. They have their finger on the pulse of the operation all the time.
So what does that mean for things like, tracking costs? Because traditionally that's been done kind of on a delayed basis, right? Like you look at historical data.
Right, right. So traditionally you would use something called standard costing, which is based on, historical averages. But with this real-time data, we can move to something called dynamic costing,
Dynamic costing.
which basically means that we're constantly updating our cost estimates based on what's happening right now. So it's a much more accurate, up-to-date picture of what things are actually costing you.
Oh, I see. So it's not just like a snapshot in time. It's more like a live feed, a constantly updating view.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that's super interesting. And you mentioned something earlier called real-time variance analysis. Is that related to this?
Absolutely. Yeah. So with real-time data, we can see immediately when things deviate from the plan. So
Yeah.
let's say a machine malfunctions,
Yeah.
right? And it starts costing more to run.
Okay.
We can see that in the data right away.
Mm-hmm.
And CMAs can flag that issue and businesses can address it immediately. So it's about being proactive, not reactive.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So it's not just about seeing the numbers, it's about understanding what those numbers mean and then being able to act on them quickly.
Exactly.
Mm.
And that means CMAs need to develop new skills,
Yeah.
right? They need to be comfortable with data analytics. They need to understand how these interconnected systems all feed into the financial picture.
Right. Right. Now, let's talk about something else that I think is super interesting. We're talking about real-time data, but Industry 4.0 also seems to be giving CMAs the ability to predict future costs, right?
Yeah, and this is where things get really exciting. I mean, we have all this data, right? Huge amounts of data, and we can use that data to forecast future trends. And one of the ways we do that is through machine learning, which is basically a way of teaching computers to learn from past data and make predictions about the future.
Oh, wow. So it's almost like having a crystal ball in a way.
It kind of is, yeah. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
perfect, of course,
Yeah.
but it allows CMAs to do things like forecast production costs, identify potential budget overruns before they happen. And that's a big shift, right?
Yeah.
Moving from just reporting what happened to actually trying to anticipate what's going to happen.
So instead of telling you what did happen, they can tell you what will happen.
Exactly. And that's incredibly valuable for businesses.
Right, that makes total sense. So what kind of skills do you need to do that, to be able to do this kind of predictive costing?
Well, you need to understand statistical modeling.
Yeah.
You need to have a basic understanding of how machine learning algorithms work.
Yeah.
And you also need to be able to visualize data effectively, using tools like Power BI or Tableau to make those insights clear to decision makers. It's about turning raw data into actionable intelligence.
Oh, that's really interesting. Now let's move on to something else that I think is really fascinating, and that's automation. Specifically, robotic process automation or RPA. It sounds like this could actually take over some of the traditional tasks that CMAs used to do.
Yeah, that's right. RPA is all about using software robots to automate those repetitive, rule-based tasks that can be really time-consuming for CMAs. Things like data entry, invoice processing, generating routine reports, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And by automating those tasks, we free up CMAs to focus on more strategic activities, like planning and analysis.
So it's not about replacing CMAs, it's about giving them more time to think, to use their brains for more high-level stuff.
Exactly, yeah. The CMA's role shifts to identifying those opportunities for automation and overseeing the implementation. So they need to be familiar with RPA tools like UiPath and automation anywhere. And they need to understand how to optimize processes for automation.
Okay, so that's another whole set of skills that CMAs need to be developing. Now, something else that keeps coming up in all of this is cloud computing. And it seems like that's really a crucial foundation for all of this, right? Because it enables data sharing and collaboration.
Oh, absolutely. Cloud computing is essential. I mean, think about it. We're talking about massive amounts of data,
Hmm.
right? And that data needs to be accessible to everyone who needs it whenever they need it.
Right.
And that's what the cloud allows. It also makes it easier for finance teams to collaborate in real time, and it offers scalability and reduced IT costs, which are big benefits for businesses.
So it seems like all of this, real-time data, predictive costing, automation, cloud computing, all of it is pointing to this idea that the CMA role is becoming much more about creating value for the business, not just controlling costs.
Yes, yes, I think that's a really key point. With better data and analytical tools, CMAs can provide insights that directly inform strategic decisions about profitability, customer value, investments, all those really important things. So they're moving from being a scorekeeper to being a proactive business partner.
Okay.
And that requires strong skills in strategic management accounting, financial modeling, and clear communication, being able to explain those insights to decision makers in a way that's easy to understand.
Right. Now, one last thing I wanted to touch on is sustainability. We're seeing a much bigger emphasis on sustainability these days, and it seems like Industry 4.0 plays into that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the really interesting things is that Industry 4.0 provides the kind of detailed data we need to track sustainability metrics effectively. So we can see things like energy consumption, waste generation, all that stuff in real time.
Okay.
And that gives CMAs the opportunity to integrate environmental, social, and governance, or ESG, factors into financial reporting. They can help develop integrated reporting frameworks that combine financial data with non-financial data, like sustainability metrics.
So it's not just about the bottom line anymore, it's about the triple bottom line:
Hmm.
people, planet, and profit.
Exactly.
So to do that effectively, CMAs need to understand things like sustainability accounting principles, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They need to know how to measure and report on the wider impact of the business, not just the financial numbers.
Okay, so to kind of sum all of this up, it sounds like the CMA's role in Industry 4.0 is becoming much more strategic, less about routine number crunching and more about providing insights and driving value for the business.
Yeah, I think that's a great summary. Technology is augmenting their capabilities, allowing them to provide deeper insights and become more valuable business partners. It's a really exciting time to be a CMA.
It really does sound like it. And I guess it makes you wonder, considering how quickly all of this is changing and how powerful technology is becoming in finance, what other ways might the role of financial professionals continue to transform in the next decade beyond even all the changes that we've talked about today? That's something to really think about. Thanks for the deep dive.
My pleasure.